mean, people that are actually interested, that really want to find out how to do it, then you can give them tips like, okay, you need to like go out and look for fruit that actually tastes good. You know, you need to go find some decent fruit, and it's not as simple as like, I want cherries. You know, you actually gotta just find whatever doesn't suck, pretty much. And that's just one tip I would give to people who are interested in starting. But
well, that's totally
mostly like I just want to show people that are like only mildly interested that you can eat a lot cleaner. You know, it's really not that hard. Just, you know, like don't eat so much salt and oil and stuff. You know.
Exactly. Can you talk a little bit about it? It sounds like you're interested in some of the ethical and ecological aspects of the diet, and I wonder if you might talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, ecologically speaking, it gets complicated. You know, obviously, if you go vegan, it's like boom, but people might see it as a quick fix, like, oh, you're still supporting all the big corporations and stuff, even though it still makes such a big impact.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. I'm so with you on that, Brad. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know what kind of thinking it is to just see it as like a piece of world peace, is what I call it, you know?
I like that.
Yeah. Just it's hard to not make it sound airy-fairy, kind of spiritual, being
right.
To tell people to train their mind. You know, if you use the word mind, you're automatically like a hippie.
Right.
So if and also to like criticize the way people are thinking, that's like, it can just be like crass, you know.
Starts to get personal. Yeah. Well, and in the spirit of what you're saying, I've been wanting to give people some. You probably know more about this than I do, but for example, like the water use, you know, for when you're eating animals, the kind of water that's required is just astronomical, right?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Something crazy, though.
Yeah.
Was it like 100 times or like 500 times or something?
Yeah. And then, of course, you have this deforestation so that they can raise livestock, so you're tearing all these trees down. And
yeah. I mean, anybody who's like even thinks about it, anybody who like considers it for a second, that's probably like one of the first things they'll see.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, I'm like creating less of a carbon footprint, you know.
Right.
But also something that you and I were talking about with the what was it? It was with like the animals in captivity, like how we're like how we need to you know, there's this problem with like the deer population that you were talking about.
Oh yeah.
And I think their natural predators are like being fed by us. I think there's one walking around in here right now, you know? And it's like, it's kind of sick to think that like maybe like we shouldn't be holding these animals in captivity, you know? Maybe it's like it's gone too far. All the dogs, all the cats, they were probably like hunting animals at one point.
Right.
And that's what we ended up using them for, and now they're domesticated. But I don't think it would take that long for them to get back into their wild state, really. Like maybe several generations before there's like a strong, you know, part of the community of natural predators.
Yeah, I think that's possible. I know that I think they've introduced the wolf back out west, you know. So I don't know on the East Coast, you know. I think it would be tricky, you know, but I think it's definitely doable. Yeah.
Yeah, and tricky being like it could look bad.
Well,
it could be bad too.
Well, it's pretty amazing how many deer there are. You know, there are a lot of deer, but if you put the right predators, the predators would start multiplying, and that would thin it out. The thing I wonder about is, you know, could residential folks handle, you know, mountain lions, a lot more mountain lions running around? You know, what if you let your kid out playing out in the woods and a mountain lion eats your baby? You know, something like that. I mean,
Yeah. And when I was in Africa, I remember thinking about like a lion coming into town or something, which would not happen because there just aren't lions. But what if it did happen? Imagine how heroic the person would be that killed him.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. So, but also, what's your take on just killing animals? I mean, I saw that thing where you said you had to kill a chicken.
Yeah, I actually wasn't really able to kill the chicken myself. I tried to saw its neck off and was like, oh man. And so my friend came and there's a picture of him like holding my hand as I do it. And I don't know, I ate it later that night. It was just kind of like, I don't know, it wasn't really like a life-changing thing at all. I was kind of like, okay, well, I know I'm a vegetarian, and I already did know that. I'm just doing this. I don't know why I was doing it. Just to say I did it, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, so you said you're working in the produce department, and are you also going to school? What have you decided to do?
I'm not going to school. I've been thinking about like massage therapy, maybe becoming like a chiropractor or something.
All right.
I want to help like individual people.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I want to like spread the vegan message.
That's cool.
Yeah, it sounds pretty simple. So right now, I feel happy. I feel successful. Like I'm taking part in that. I've been working in the department for just a few weeks, and I know more than everyone else working there. So,
yeah.
I get to tell people, oh yeah, eat as much as you can. So
that's great. That's great.
I feel like I'm doing my part a little bit.
Yeah, man. So, just overall, would you say the high carbohydrate, high raw, low fat diet has been a success for you health-wise, and you're also helping the environment, and you're not killing animals?
Yeah. I mean, not killing animals, man. It's kind of cool, Like, you don't have to be like a hippie to be like, it's uncool to kill animals. Just be a nice guy. Like, it makes sense.
I hear you, man. I think that's so true.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I think people, they just get used to doing it, and they don't really think about it. You go in and you buy this packaged meat, and they're not really realizing what's going on behind that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I haven't, spoken up to my parents even, really. I mean, maybe, once or twice I've said something about, antibiotics and hormones, but if I could just, stand up there and be like, oh, man.
Yeah.
I don't even know half the things that are going on.
This is a huge issue. It's like figuring out how to live in a world where a lot of people aren't recognizing this. So for one thing, you're just trying to make your own diet work in this world that kind of puts up obstacles to it. And then secondly, it's like finding out how to interact with people, knowing who's receptive to the message and who's not, and how to kind of do it in a way so you're not, totally pissing people off and alienating everyone out of your life, but and yet still being true to yourself.
Yeah. I've got so many friends now that are totally leaning towards veganism, but they're not there yet. They're all together cooking their non-vegan meals together and stuff. I don't think I have any meat eater friends anymore, really. I mean, they definitely eat meat rarely, if they do at all. But if I went over there and started talking about them eating sick animal excretions, I don't know how they would take it. They'd probably they probably wouldn't be that well received.
Right.
Even though sometimes that's just what you need to be reminded of. I remember just eating Ben and Jerry's and watching Dan the Man talk about your nasty bowel disorders and shit, and I'm just oh god. And I kept on doing it, and it worked for me eventually. Just took some time.
Yeah, that's so cool. Well, Man, I think it's inspiring what you're doing, man, and you've come a long way, man. You've come a long way in like the past year or two.
Yeah, I'm definitely one of the cases where it had to get like really bad. It had to get like all the way bad, but you know, it just makes a stronger story eventually. I'm doing fine. Like I never thought that after like a few months I would be fitter than all my friends. That, you know, I would just look in the mirror and be like, I'm gonna die, you know. And now I'm like, gonna run a marathon in like less than a month. So
that is an amazing testimony to how resilient the body is. If you just give the body the right food and the right sleep and sun, it starts to just, you know, thrive.
Yeah, and that's what it is. That's a point that a lot of people miss, is that it's not like the diet, you know, it's not the fruit. Even though the fruit is the best food, it's the body that does it. When you look at like nerve energy and how metabolism works, it's the body that does the whole thing. And so it's not like it's just something that is like super misunderstood. That was part of like the dominance thing that I was talking about. Like, oh, now that I have this like diet, it's like a lever for me to, you know, be faster, stronger, better than everybody else. But it's actually like, I mean, you know what I mean. It's just the way that we're supposed to be.
Right. I hear what you're saying. It's some people are